Palestinian question over decades. We are joined over the phone by Dr. Mohamed Ezaby, the international relation expert. A very good afternoon to you, Dr. Mohamed.
Good afternoon to you.
Doctor, in your point of view, how has Egypt balanced its the humanitarian obligation toward Gaza with its national security concerns on the border?
Well, since the outbreak of the Gaza conflict, Egypt has emerged as one of the most influential regional actors working to contain the crisis, alleviate humanitarian suffering, and facilitate negotiations aimed at achieving a sustainable ceasefire, owing to its geographic proximity, historical ties to the Palestinian issue, and long-standing relationship with both regional and international stakeholders. Egypt has played a central diplomatic and humanitarian role throughout the conflict. If we think about Egypt's humanitarian support for Gaza, Egypt has served as a primary gateway for humanitarian aid entering the Gaza Strip through the Rafah crossing. Egyptian authorities have coordinated with international organizations, Arab countries, and donor states to facilitate the delivery of food supplies, medical equipment, emergency shelter materials, fuel and essential commodities, ambulances, and healthcare support. The Egyptian government has repeatedly emphasized that the humanitarian access must remain uninterrupted despite ongoing military operations. Egyptian hospitals, particularly those in North Sinai and Cairo, have received wounded Palestinians for treatment. Medical teams have been deployed to support emergency healthcare efforts, while specialized facilities have been prepared to receive critical cases, including children and severely injured civilians. Beyond direct aid deliveries, Egypt has constantly advocated for the protection of civilians and the establishment of the humanitarian corridor to ensure the safe movement of aid and medical assistance. And if we turn to diplomatic efforts to secure a ceasefire, Egypt has traditionally served as a mediator between Palestinian factions and Israel during periods of escalation. Throughout the current conflict, Cairo has maintained open channels for communication with all relevant parties. Egyptian mediation efforts have focused on ending military operations, preventing regional escalation, facilitate hostage and prisoner exchange, establishing the humanitarian pause, creating conditions for a long-term ceasefire, coordination with international partners. Egypt has worked closely with the United States, Qatar, European partners, the United Nations, Arab states. This coordination has helped create diplomatic framework aimed to reducing tensions and promoting negotiated solutions.
Yes.
Hosting high-level diplomatic meetings, Cairo has become a major hub for diplomatic consultation concerning Gaza. Egyptian officials have hosted numerous meetings involving regional and international representatives to discuss ceasefire proposals and post-war arrangements.
Well, Dr. Mohamed, also to what extent has the Rafah border crossing served as a critical lifeline for the humanitarian aid and the medical assistance to the Gaza during the periods of the conflict?
Well, we know that Rafah border is the main crossing border for entering humanitarian aid and receiving injured from Gaza Strip. So without Rafah border, it was difficult for Palestinians to cross out from Gaza and to re-enter Gaza Strip. So Egypt tried to contain this border open and still work to facilitate every crossing, even for humanitarian aid or medical aid or people from Gaza and in and out. So without this border, which considered a critical crossing border for Palestinian country, no one can enter humanitarian aid, especially every humanitarian aid is existed in El Arish and Rafah. So it's more easy to enter this humanitarian aid from Rafah crossing.
Well, Dr. Mohamed, also, as you said, that Egypt has played a vital role. How effective has Egypt's diplomatic efforts and mediation been in facilitating the ceasefire agreements between Israel and Palestinian factors in Gaza?
Well, the first thing was the announcing of His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi from day one of the war, that Egypt's rejection of Palestinian displacement. It's one of the main red lines which put by His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to all the world, that no one in the Arab world or the Islamic world will accept any kind of displacement to Palestinian, and the only one solution is the two-country solution. So, by this red line, one of the Egypt's most consistent position throughout the conflict has been its rejection of any plans aimed to forced way displacing Palestinians from Gaza. Egypt argues that the Palestinian population should remain on its land. Forced displacement would undermine Palestinian rights. Any demographic changes imposed by conflict would threaten future peace efforts. Egypt has maintained that preserving the Palestinian presence in Gaza is essential to safeguarding prospects for the future political settlement and the realization of Palestinian national aspirations. Also, Egypt has repeatedly stressed that temporary pause in fighting alone cannot resolve the conflict. Instead, Cairo advocates for a comprehensive ceasefire, reconstruction of Gaza, increased humanitarian access, reveal political negotiation. Egypt continues to support the political process based on the establishment of an independent Palestinian state alongside Israel. Egyptian official views the two-state solution as the most realistic framework for achieving long-term regional stability.
Yes, and what are the challenges that has Egypt encountered in your point of view, Dr. Mohamed, while coordinating the international, the humanitarian efforts and aid for Gaza?
Well, despite Egypt's active rule, several obstacles remain. The political divisions, deep disagreements among the parties continue to complicate negotiations and delay ceasefire agreements. Also, the security concerns, ongoing military operations, and security considerations often create difficulty in implementing and sustaining ceasefire arrangements. The worsening humanitarian situation in Gaza increases the urgency of diplomatic efforts, while simultaneously making negotiations more complex. Also, competing regional interests and border geopolitical tensions can influence the pace and success of mediation initiatives.
Well, Dr. Mohamed, thank you for your contribution, but we'll take a short break, and we're going to continue after the call for the Asr prayer. Ladies and gentlemen, so stay tuned on the Cairo local time. Dr. Mohamed, we were talking about Egypt's supportive role towards the people in Gaza. You hear me, Dr. Mohamed?
Yes.
Dr. Mohamed, can you tell me how has the public opinion with Egypt influenced the government policies, actions regarding the support in Gaza or for Gaza?
Well, the main point for Egypt is how to gather Palestinian faction reconciliation.
Yes.
So in the latest round of Palestinian factions meeting in Cairo, once again highlighted Egypt's central role as a primary mediator and guarantor of Palestinian national dialogue. For decades, Cairo has served as the most important venue for negotiations among the Palestinian factions,
Yes.
leveraging its historical ties, geographic proximity to Gaza, and extensive diplomatic network to bridge divisions that have weakened the Palestinian national cause. Egypt's role in Palestinian affairs is rooted in history, geography, and national security consideration.
Yes.
Cairo has long viewed Palestinian unity as essential not only for advancing Palestinian aspirations, but also for maintaining a stability along Egypt's northern border. Unlike many external actors, Egypt maintains channels for communication with virtually all Palestinian factions, including Fatah, Hamas, and other Palestinian groups. This unique position allows Egypt to act as a trusted intermediary capable of facilitating dialogue even during periods of heightened tensions. The Cairo meetings demonstrate Egypt's continued commitment to preventing political fragmentations within the Palestinian arena and ensuring that international division don't undermine further regional diplomatic efforts. Egypt's diplomatic efforts also are driven by several interconnected objectives, strengthening Palestinian national unity. One of Cairo's primary goals is to encourage the formation of a unified Palestinian political position capable of addressing the immense challenges facing the Palestinian people. The ongoing conflict in Gaza has underscored the importance of national cohesion. Egypt recognized that the absence of a unified Palestinian leadership complicates humanitarian relief efforts, reconstruction plans, and future political negotiations.
Yes.
Also, Egypt supporting ceasefire and de-escalation efforts. Egypt understands that sustainable ceasefire requires political consensus among Palestinian factions. By bringing rebel groups together, Cairo seeks to create a framework that can support both regional efforts aimed to ending violence and preventing renewed escalation. Palestinian reconciliations is therefore viewed not as an isolated political process, but as an essential component of wider regional stabilization.
Well, Dr. Mohamed, let me ask you about the cooperation between the international organizations and Egypt to address the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. To what degree?
Well, we saw the United Nations announcement that 80% of the humanitarian aid which went to Gaza is from Egypt only. And the latest aids has come from all over the world. So there is a cooperation between Egypt and the United Nations, Egypt and many other international organizations in working on humanitarian field. So Egypt support all international organizations which work in Gaza to help Egypt in sending humanitarian aid. So many organizations under the umbrella of the United Nations supported Egypt and helped Egypt in that field.
Yes. Well, Dr. Mohamed, also, how has Egypt's role in hosting the negotiations and peace initiatives contributed to regional stability and the conflict resolution concerning Gaza?
Well, it is not started by Sharm el-Sheikh conference, which attended by Donald Trump, but it started after 2 days of the war beginning, when President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi announced Cairo Summit for Peace, and attended by more than 22 international leaders, and announced that the war must stop. Also, the negotiations between all Palestinian factions. Also, Egypt hosted the negotiations between Hamas and Israel with Qatar many negotiations happened in Egypt because Egypt is a great country in negotiation. Also, they have a great experience how to facilitate any kind of hard negotiations and try to make some conditions that have all parties to accept it. So Egypt made many meetings and many negotiations related to Palestinian issue and Gaza issue, and all these negotiations succeeded. And the latest negotiations, as I said, is the Palestinian factions in Egypt.
Well, Dr. Mohamed, finally, what long-term the political, economic and the humanitarian implications could arise from Egypt's continued involvement supporting Gaza and advocating for the Palestinian rights?
Well, up till now, Egypt focused on two main points. The first point in humanitarian aid, and the second point is the issue of reconstruction. So Egypt tried to convince all the world to share in Gaza reconstruction after stopping any strikes from Israel towards Gaza, and to start reconstruction, because without reconstruction and repair the infrastructure of Gaza, Egypt, no one in Gaza can live. So Egypt now focused on humanitarian aid, stop air strikes from Israel, and a reconstruction point.
Well, Dr. Mohamed Ezaby, the international relation expert, thank you so much for joining on the Cairo local time on Nile TV International and for your insightful information. Ladies and gentlemen, a short break and we'll be right back to continue our episode.